just had the mid-season draft during the week, and we get some amazing stories out of that, and also rookie drafts where we're going to talk about some of the biggest draft bargains that we've seen. And also it was great to see Johnny Noble, the first mid-season draftee to play 100 games during the week. But let's take a look at some of those guys who have done amazing things. What about this man? Marlon Pickett debuting on grand final day. Never thought I'd see that in the modern game, but he was special. I was voting on the Norm Smith this day, and at half-time I had him leading the race.
He got official votes in it.
He did, yeah. John Newcombe. Kane, is he nearly the Hawks' best player?
I think Will Day would be, but he'd be, certainly that 1-2 combination in the midfield is elite. And there's your man Noble.
Yeah, Johnny Noble didn't have his best night on getting subbed out on Friday night, but he's been a fantastic player. Unlucky not to be a premiership player. And this guy, Durham, what a transformation he's made on the Essendon midfield with what he has achieved in the game. So I think after Zach Merritt and Kyle Langford, he's nearly almost up there with the most important players at the Bombers. Draft reactions. This is my favourite part of the draft, is when you see players react when they're getting drafted. So here's a boy by the name of Billy Dowling getting drafted. Here is Ed Allen, who debuted a couple of weeks ago for the Magpies. Cam McKenzie, all these, I think, Brighton Grammar boys in the pub going nuts on schoolies when he was drafted, which is brilliant. Harry Demetia, who was a superstar cricketer, getting drafted to the Magpies, was sensational. This is a Cats player. I'm still working out who it is, so I couldn't work out who that one is. A young fella there. And here's our guest that we just had on. And some players, don't want to be drafted to where they're drafted to, and there was a bit of a shock for him. I know I personally wouldn't have been comfortable being drafted into state. I wasn't ready for it, and now he's at his home where he's most happiest. But now it's about the draft steals, Damon.
Yeah, one of those steals, Lloyd, he was at pick number 47 in 1995, a little guy by the name of Brent Harvey, who finished his career entrenched, I would say, Llordo, without doubt, amongst the top 5 North Melbourne players of all time, and maybe even higher than that number I've just said there. But 518 goals, a games record of the VFL/AFL of 432. He was 4 times All-Australian, 5 times best and fairest, and he had his career ended, unfortunately for him, early in 2016. And Brownie, he wasn't the reason that Future Stars was in. It was you, not him.
Come on, Boomer.
He was hard to play on. He was such a difficult and competitive opponent. Dean Cox, what about this? Pick 28 in a 1998 rookie draft. And with Max Gorm, we're talking about in the modern era, the 2 greatest ruckmen that we've ever seen. What a bargain, and led that unbelievable West Coast midfield through an era which was just as good as we've seen. So what separated Dean Cox was that often you don't want ruckman to kick the footy. You give it to the ruckman, but you couldn't with him because of his skills. He was like an extra midfielder, and there was a point where opposition teams were basically tagging him as a ruckman. So what a pick it was for the Eagles.
The thing I love about Kevin Sheedy is that he loves the history of the game, and James Hurd's grandfather and father played for the Bombers, and he said, I want the third Hurd. And they could. I think most clubs would have overlooked James Hurd, but he said, no, I want another Hurd. Give him a chance. He was always a great runner, but he was slow to come to the party in terms of his skill level, James Hurd, but went on to be arguably the club's greatest ever player and certainly the greatest ever captain.
Well, I think just about the best pick of the bargains is 105, and that was Chris Grant. And Chris Grant is just about the greatest Bulldog. I think Bontempelli's probably gone past him and a couple of others, but he started out very, very skinny from Daylesford, Chris Grant, but he could do it all. He was a brilliant centre-half back, probably should have won a Brownlow. He was similar to Corey McKernan. He got rubbed out against, I think he tapped Nick Holland on the side of the face, but centre-half back, centre-half forward, 340-odd games, and he was brilliant. 2-time best and fairest winner. Probably should have won a Brownlow medal.
And the day he arrived in Melbourne was the night of Footscray and Fitzroy announcing its merger. So that was a rude awakening for him, wasn't it? But anyway, it turned out to be okay for him and Bulldogs fans. What about this bloke? Pick number 43, Adam Goods. Now, when you talk about bargain basements, right, pick number 43 just goes to show what an absolute lottery it is, and also the part that list managers play, because that man went on to figure in 372 senior games. He won the Lazy 2 Brownlow medals, 2 premierships, 4-time All-Australian, 3 times best and fairest, just an out-and-out champion of the game.
Play anywhere.
43.
Could play in any position.
One of Brownlow was a ruckman, one of Brownlow was a midfielder.
Yeah. Just on that, TJ, like the Sydney Swans, like Chad Warner was drafted in the 30s. 39. Luke Parker was drafted around the 40 mark. And even last night, Ollie Dempsey was pick 15 in the rookie draft of 2022. So some amazing stories.
Absolutely. And I think we were talking off air, Brett Hetty from West Coast Eagles, I reckon, was in the 80s and went on to play in
I think Dean Kemp was similar too.
Yeah,
wasn't he?
it's
70s, 80s,
amazing stuff.